Hello everyone, this is Duster and welcome to another live stream. And in today's live stream, I'm doing is mental health talks, dealing with the single life. And I wasn't going to do one today because I figured maybe it was a little too like late at night, but I just thought, with everything going on, I just wanted to come on here and see what happens. Let me see real quick. I'm trying to figure out something real quick. Okay, yeah, I got it. Today I wanted to talk about dealing with the single life because a couple of days ago, no, actually last weekend, I was dealing with a situation where um I wasn't really happy with myself, so I tried doing this online dating app, and unfortunately, it kind of like in a way got a rude awakening, but it was more like um let me see, I'm just trying not to be so loud because I have some people living in my apartment. Well, my mom's apartment. um I've been dealing, so I was on this app, dating app, and I got two people interested in me, but the problem with that is that it kind of backfired, and because it backfired, it kind of made me have this like rude awakening. And it made me realize, maybe being single isn't as bad as I thought it would be. I do feel bad for the people I hurt, though. I was trying to see if I could get in a relationship with at least one of them, but unfortunately, one of them was okay with it. The other one was just not happy with the fact that I decided to not date them anymore because I just wasn't interested. I just felt like I needed to be single and I needed to take care of myself first before I decide to be in a relationship. And dealing with a relationship, it's hard. I mean, it really affects your mental health and how you feel about everyone else. But let me know if you guys are having issues with the connection. I know that sometimes when I do my live streams, they're a little weird. But in case you didn't know, I am 30 years old. I have been single for a long time. I've never dated anyone. I never had a boyfriend. I never kissed anyone. Yeah, it's crazy to think a 30-year-old who has been single for that long. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be in the world Guinness records for being the most oldest single person. I'm kind of getting there, but it's been really hard because it's not just my mental health, but my appearance as well. When I was young, I was born with a cleft palate, and because I was born with a cleft palate, it really like didn't help with people liking me and stuff. And my nose looked really weird when I was little, so a lot of people thought my nose was really like I was gross looking and not the kind of person that people would want to. I don't know if you guys could hear the background. I'm sorry about that. It's just I have really loud neighbors playing karaoke at night. But my nose was not that cute back then. It was a lot of people didn't want to hang out with me because I was see, I, because of my appearance. People just didn't want to hang out with me because I wasn't beautiful or I wasn't normal looking for them. And unfortunately, because of this, it kind of followed for a really long time. And you know, I've had a lot of crushes, but unfortunately, I never got like reciprocation from them back. It was mostly like one-sided type of things where it's mostly just me liking them, but they never like me back. But before I get into it, if you'd like to donate in order to improve the stream, I have the links right there on my YouTube channel. But if you're on Twitch right now, I have it should be on my bio if you want to donate money just to improve the stream because I know my streams aren't that great sometimes, but I try to do the best that I can. Um, but eventually, I've been trying dating apps and it hasn't been working pretty good for me because I've been meeting a lot of really disgusting guys online who just obviously, I don't know if you could say this, but mostly they just want to have sex with you rather than get to know you a lot more. And recently I met someone like that this year who I thought was a really nice guy. It turned out to be a very sexually horny guy, which I'll get into in a couple minutes. But being single, it has always been it's been really hard because I've always wanted to have that certain special someone in my life, but I've never really had them. But I guess I could start with like my crushes and who I liked and how it went by. And I'm gonna try to keep them as short as I can because I know some of them are really long. Um, One of my first crushes that I had when I was in elementary school was actually in kindergarten. I know, right? That's crazy. A kindergartner liking a person so young. Well, there was this guy who I used to like, and I'm not gonna say his name in case he tries to look me up and stuff. But I remember he was into soccer, and I guess someone must have been taking pictures while we were at the farm in the field trip. And so I saw her about to take a picture of my crush, and so I decided to go in closer to see if we could like be in the picture together, and it worked actually. I got the picture, and me and him were like looking at some kind of sheep. But then like around third grade, I fell in love with a or I guess I was crushing on another guy. I wasn't in love because I was in elementary. I mean, there's no way you could be in love in elementary school, right? And when I was in third grade, there was this other guy who had a plaid sweater. It was like dark gray, and I thought he was a really nice guy. And, I had a really big crush on him. I thought he was really cute. But in fifth grade, this girl who I thought was like my friend, but turned out to be like my worst enemy in sixth grade, and we were like really close friends in fifth grade. She came up to me, and she didn't come up to me, but we were talking, and I told her that I had a crush on the guy that I had a crush on in third grade. And she had told me that, oh, yeah, he's afraid of you. He doesn't like being around you. He thinks you're really scary. And I was like, are you sure about that? And she said, yeah. Because this guy, he never really talked to me much. I mean, I think we only kept in like touching each other. I think we've only touched each other because our class was like playing games in PE. And I don't know if it was true or not, but we hardly ever talked to each other actually in elementary school. I always wondered, how come me and so never talk? That's kind of weird. And, then, but I don't know. I mean, it kind of hurt my feelings a little bit because I was hoping that he would like me, but he didn't really have feelings for me, I guess. I think he had feelings for other girls. And then in fifth grade, there was this new student. Around fifth grade, everyone started to have a crush on everybody. So I pretended I had a crush on this guy, this new student, and he was kind of cute. But then, a couple years later, he found pot, weed, and then his appearance wasn't so great after that. Yeah, don't do drugs. Um, and then in sixth grade, there was this other guy who I had a really big crush on, and one of my friends told me, "You can't have a crush on this guy. He's Indian." And I'm like, "So? Who cares?" I like him. I thought he was really funny. He made me laugh because in sixth grade I was going through a really rough time with dealing with the loss of a friend, like a friendship mostly. Not no one died, but like I was dealing and mourning the death of my friendship with a person who turned out to be my worst enemy in sixth grade. And I had a crush on this guy who made me laugh a lot. And one of my friends thought I had a crush on this other guy, same name, just different person. And for some reason he decided to tell it to the guy, and I'm like, it's not the guy I have a crush on. It's another guy. And I don't know. Since then, I've never really like kept in con. Like every time I'm around this other guy, I feel really weirded out by him because I'm like, what if he thinks I'm weird? Because like I said, because of the appearance of my nose, it was really difficult to feel beautiful around people and try to be normal. Um, but unfortunately, the guy that I had a crush on in sixth grade, I think he ended up going to another school after seventh grade. I can't remember, but I hardly saw him in junior high. And in junior high, I had a crush on one of my friends who was a guy, and for a little while, but then I got over it. I thought he was cute, and but I think what I was dealing with at the time is I like being around guys who kind of understand me, and that's when I start falling in love with them, which is kind of weird. But I don't know if that's healthy or not. I don't think it is. And then in eighth grade, I met another guy, and this guy we actually met because of my aunt. My aunt and his mom are like BFFs, best friends, and we met in seventh grade, but in eighth grade, I didn't start talking to him until eighth grade because my dad was telling me you should go talk to him more, and I'm like, okay. And as I started talking to him more, I started having romantic feelings for him, and since then, I've had a really long crush on this guy for such a long time, up until 2013, 2014, after we graduated high school, and things were never the same after that. Well, when it comes to love, I mean, when you fall in love with someone, you have to like really look for the person you want to be with the rest of your life. Like, do you want to be with someone that smokes pot, or do you want to be with someone that is always going to be nice to you? It's always best to have someone that's always going to be nice to you, because you don't want to be in a relationship with someone that's a jerk, right? No one should be treated that way, no matter if you're a guy or not. Um, but this guy, I'll call him Jay in privacy, and we have a really long history together, so I'm gonna keep this short, as short as I can. Jay and I, we met in seventh grade, and then we started talking more in eighth grade. He never had feelings for me, unfortunately. Even he told me himself that he never had feelings for me because I confessed my love to him in 2013, 2014, because I was trying to have closure of the past, and he knew I liked him, but he just didn't want to like believe it. And then in ninth grade, like, it was kind of difficult because me and Jay were trying to fit in high school, but unfortunately things happened, and he kind of went with this crowd, and I didn't like the crowd at first, but eventually I got used to them. But we did manage to rekindle our friendship in ninth grade towards the end. It was kind of difficult because I was going through some mental issues with my depression, trying to find a place where I could belong in high school, and trying to fit in with everyone and try to, have a lot of friends. But at the end of the day, having friendships in high school is not really worth it, in my opinion. Outside of high school, that's where it really counts. Um, but Jay and I, we were very close. I mean, we talked a lot about everything, and sometimes we talked about things that a lot of people don't really talk about. And in ninth grade, I just felt like in high school, I just felt like Jay understood what I was going through and what I had been doing throughout the years. I mean, yeah, it was hard in ninth grade, but eventually, I tried to do the best that I can to manage my depression, even though I had to go to therapy eventually my senior year in order to help myself. Let me see. But around eighth grade, I also started liking another guy. I'm not gonna call him by his name because he's married and has a kid already. And I do not want his wife to look at my channel and be like, oh, she's talking about you. But there was another guy who had a crush on in eighth grade. He was supposed to be in ninth grade when I was in eighth grade. And I guess what happened was that he got held back. A lot of people in that year got held back, actually. And when I met him, I didn't like him at first because he seemed like really rebellious and mean towards people. But then I eventually had a crush on him. I thought he was really handsome, attractive. But the problem was that he was a bad boy, and he just wasn't the kind of guy you would take to your parents. Definitely not the kind of person you would want to bring home. And I tried to say hi. Like, I was usually the type of person to like go for it, like try to push myself in order to get people to notice me. But the problem was with that is that sometimes the guys don't like that, or they just don't seem to have feelings for you the same way that you had feelings for them. And eventually, my crush with this other guy, not Jay, but with another guy, it just didn't really last that long because things happen, and Jay, I mean, not Jay, the other guy, he was a he was womanizer. Like, the guy literally went after so many girls, and it was funny. He dated like so many girls, like probably like 10 or so, and then he would end them. And but then in sophomore year, he started changing drastically, and I just stopped falling in love with him. And he ended up dropping out of high school in junior year, and I was kind of a bit disappointed because I really liked this guy, and I always felt like he there was good inside him. But the problem was that he was a very rebellious type of guy, and he just didn't really pay much attention towards me. Even though I tried to pay attention and give him the attention, it just didn't seem to work out. But with Jay, it was a lot different. It felt like Jay was more understanding, and we would hang out at times, and it felt like if we haven't seen each other for 3 weeks, it felt like we just saw each other yesterday. And then senior year happened, and unfortunately, Jay didn't graduate on time, and I graduated on time. Well, the reason why Jay didn't graduate is because he started skipping school a lot, and he ended up dropping out of high school. But he eventually got his diploma after high school. Um, but during my senior year, I was going through a really rough time because I had a class with a person who again, really bad person in my life. And Jay was the only one to make things better. Like, every time I talked to him, he was definitely worth someone to talk to every time I felt really negative or really sad about myself. And he made me find like a reason to be alive. And it's not easy to talk about. I was going through a lot in high school, dealing with my mental health, and then my parents, and well, mostly my father, and trying to fit in the school crowd. But it's tough. um Trying to think. uh hmm so Jay and I, we would often, like, after our fifth period, the class before our last period, we would go to his house, hang out, talk a lot. We would talk a lot for hours and hours and hours, and pretty much anything random. Like, it was definitely a weird friendship, and I felt like we were getting closer. And the more close we got, the more I felt a connection between him. But unfortunately, it didn't feel that way because he liked other girls, and it was hard to deal with because I thought he really liked me, or was starting to like me. And once we got older, in after I graduated high school in 2011, um he I eventually started like losing interest in Jay because he just wasn't more into marijuana, and like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on YouTube, but he was more into smoking pot, and it wasn't the kind of life I wanted to have with a husband. I wanted to have a husband who didn't do drugs, or and didn't drink alcohol because of my family's history with alcohol. My dad's side of the family mostly. And so I wanted to marry someone that really was someone special, and someone who understood me, but someone who was not an alcoholic, because that's not what I wanted to grow up in. And so I told Jay my feelings about how I used to fall in love with him, and he knew about it, but he just didn't understand, or didn't want to believe it was true. But even though, like, it was kind of like a bit weird and awkward because we didn't talk for like a week or so, I feel like it kind of just is. At first I was like, I really wanted to have a relationship with Jay, but I think eventually, I was really grateful to have a friendship with him rather than a relationship, because if I had a relationship with him and it ended, I think it would have been a lot worse. I can't imagine my life being in a relationship with a guy who is really close friends with me. And I'm trying to remember. And since then, over the years, Jay and I have been inseparable. Like, he gives me rides all the time. I used to work at Sears, and he would always give me rides from on the way home, because I usually like to get picked up from work. I don't like getting like dropped off at work, but I usually like to get picked up, just so I don't have to take the bus at night. And because my dad works late at night sometimes too, and Jay was really nice enough to give me a ride home. Even through emergencies, he was able to do so. Like, even after Sears, he gave me a ride when I was in working in Macy's for the holiday season. But it's because I was running late that day. And then, like, it was like that for a couple years. And then, I tried to do the best to repay him back. I remember I gave him like these munchie chips because they were on sale in Rite Aid 2 for $5, or I think it was 2 for $3. I can't remember. And shortly after that, things between me and him were just becoming more like BFFs rather than, having a relationship. But the problem with that is that I was still dealing with like the hurt and pain that I had in high school. High school wasn't easy for me, as it kind of gave me really bad mental problems for a long time. And during 2016, real quickly, um, I went through a period where I was doing really good in school, in university, and then suddenly I started falling into that dark hole of high school trauma, and I remember feeling hopeless and just feeling like, why didn't anyone hang out with me when I wanted to? Why didn't people want to be around me when I was in high school? I mean, I feel like I deserve a lot more, like, friends than I have. And then Jay said on the phone, well, maybe you should blame yourself for what happened. And I was like, sure, okay. And it didn't help, honestly. And then, unfortunately, the sad part about that is that in 2016, my aunt had passed away, and it kind of brought me and Jay and his family a lot closer together. And it just felt like Jay and his family kind of felt like a second family after my aunt's death. It was a really hard time. I remember just feeling really sad, going to Jack in the Box because that was her favorite place to work at, and just trying to eat whatever I can and try to remember my aunt. And then, of course, 2 months later, my grandma dies, and yeah, it was not pretty. And throughout the years, I went to Jay's house all the time, and not only did I talk to him, but I also talked to his mom, his sister, and brother. Well, not all the time. Usually his brother's on the go, and nephews, pretty much everyone in the house, almost everyone. Um, and yeah, I felt like this really close connection, this bond with the family, and it just felt like I had another family. And when my dad got deported in 2017, Jay was really nice enough to give me a ride home. And well, first we went to his house, and then after that we went to my house. Well, he dropped me off at my house, and then I had to deal with the aftermath of hearing the news about my dad's deportation. And God, it was a really hard day, but he was nice enough to take me to his house first and then go home and face my mom, trying to come up with plans to help our family and stuff. But yeah, I think a lot of the things that happened in my life were because of Jay. Jay's known a lot about me that no one else probably knows, not even my own family. He knows that for the fact that I have a YouTube channel, although he's not subscribed to it. But he never really made fun of what I have to create on YouTube, which is kind of good, because usually when when you come up with ideas and you tell people, "Hey, I'm gonna do this," and they're like, "Why? That's weird." But he was never like that. And I remember there was this supermarket that I live really close to, and I would shop there. And there was times where would see Jay like randomly on the streets, sometimes in the supermarket, sometimes in like certain areas or on the streets, and he would always be nice enough to give me a ride. Yeah, he was a really great friend. I haven't talked to him for 2 years now, and this week it's just been very difficult because like this week is kind of like a birthday, which I'm gonna get into right now. Um, on well, before I get to that date, I want to say me and Jay, we have never dated, we have never kissed, we have never had relationship with anyone, not a single person. And at the time, it felt really good because at first I thought I was the only single person. But when I found out that Jay also never had a girlfriend, never kissed anyone. Well, he did end up kissing a girl, but he was drunk, he told me. It just felt like, I wasn't alone, being single. And then, February 14th, 2021, my life changed drastically in a very dark, not so great way. Well, actually, before I get to that, I'll talk about it right now. I just remembered another guy, but on February 14th, Jay had a girlfriend, and it really didn't help with my mental health. It just felt like I was trapped in a room by myself with no one in there. Because before it was me and Jay being single, it almost seemed like we were the only two people in our class to not be in a relationship. But when he got into a relationship, it was like I was all alone in the dark, painful, cold room, all by myself. No one to be similar to. And it was really hard. I don't think he understood what I was going through at the time. I'm gonna be honest, I never liked this girlfriend. I always felt like she kind of looked like my uncle's ex. And my uncle's ex was horrible. She was a really bad lady. Like, if you tell my uncle about his ex, he'll say, "Oh, I don't know that woman." That's how bad of a woman she was. Well, I heard she's still like going after men. Like, she's a really bad person. That's all I'm gonna say. I've talked to her one time. She's horrible, really horrible. I'm so glad my uncle never got her pregnant. If he had got her pregnant, I would have lost my mind. Um, but before the whole thing with Jay happened, I met a guy and I talked about him in my. I think I talked about in my turning 30 video. There was this guy I met on Instagram, and because I thought he was cute, and I tried to talk to him. He was a musician, and when I met him at a coffee house in Long Beach, it didn't really work out because the next day he blocked me, and then like a couple days later, he texted me saying that, "Oh, why are you stalking me?" Because I created some fake accounts because I wanted to see if he posted anything negative about me, like anything bad. And he found out. I don't know how he found out, but he found out somehow. And he said he felt harassed and stuff. And I'm like, how are you feeling harassed? I've never touched you or anything like that. But I guess online you could harass people, which I wasn't aware at the time. And then, like, I told him I was sorry. And then, the next couple days later, I got really upset one night because of a pay-per-view I was watching for WWE. And I called my friend, and my friend unfortunately tried to take care of the situation, but only made it way worse. And the guy ended up, she screenshot her conversation with the guy, and then I received it the next day while I was going to the village at Orange and paying the phone bill in person. Um, she sent me the screenshot of the conversation she had with the guy who I used to like, and he called me mentally unstable, aggressive, obsessive, and I was at first I believed it because I thought maybe, I always felt like I believed in people's opinions more easily back then. But eventually, though, my therapist told me, "Are you really like that?" And I'm like, "I don't know, maybe." And she said, "Really? Are you?" And I said, "I don't think so." And but eventually I confronted him about it online. He blocked me for a little bit, and then he apologized to me, unblocked me, apologized, and then I blocked him. And then he tried contacting me through my friend, through my email, everywhere he can, and tried to apologize. And eventually, I did have to forgive him, even though it felt like he was also harassing me, trying to let me forgive him. But I didn't forgive him until recently this year, or I think it was last year. No, I think it was this year. I forgave him because I felt really bad for what happened to him and what had happened after we met. Throughout the years, like he's been going through a really rough time. I could tell from his Instagram. He keeps deleting things, re-uploading new things, deleting things, re-uploading, deleting, re-uploading, deleting his profile pic on Instagram. And he just recently released like 4 or 5 new songs, and unfortunately he deleted everything on his Instagram. I thought his music was pretty good this year too, compared to the music he came out in 2020, 2021, I think. But I don't know what's going on with him. Honestly, it's just a really weird situation with that guy. I think he has like really bad mental issues. And I'm not being mean. I'm just trying to, like, I just think the whole deleting, re-uploading new stuff on Instagram is kind of questioning. Also, he keeps on following people too. A lot of people. And I don't see his friends unless somehow, some way you could hide your followers on Instagram somehow. But anyway, going back to my friend Jay, he had a girlfriend, and I felt like his girlfriend just wasn't. She didn't seem like a nice person because every time I talked to him and she was right there or on phone, it felt like she got jealous. Now I know you're probably thinking, well, how do you know if you never met her? Well, I was talking to him on the phone one time, and he was at his girlfriend's house eating dinner with her and her family, which he always does, by the way. And I can't remember why I called him. It was something important. And while I was talking to him, I heard a female voice. It felt like she was trying to get his attention, and I was like, "Oh, it's her." And then there was in October of 2021, the last time I actually saw him. Um, I think we were like touching kitties or something, and then like he showed his girlfriend of the kittens, and then I guess she might have heard my voice because I was there in the house that day, and then like I saw him come in, and then he said, she was talking about you, right?" And I was like, I didn't say anything because I'm like, maybe he's talking to someone else, but I was pretty much the only one in that room. And I don't know what his girlfriend has. I think she really it might be jealous. I don't know. I mean, she is younger than me, and I'm not gonna lie. This morning, no, yesterday, I found a picture, her profile picture, and I thought, ugh, I could see why she doesn't like me. But I'm not gonna get into that. We haven't talked for 2 years, and it's been really difficult because I honestly thought, our friendship was more stronger than his relationship with his girlfriend. And, it, when I lost, when I stopped talking to him, it felt like I also lost a part of him and a part of his family. And, just recently on the weekend, his girlfriend's birthday happened, and I went on Facebook, and because usually that's where families go and talk with their families, like, "Hey, hola, compadre, hola, mi hermana," the same old konnichiwa. I don't know what it is on Facebook that gets all family members to talk to each other. Um, And I noticed that some of his relatives, Jay's relatives, were starting to have a connection with his girlfriend. And it felt like, to me, it just really made me irritated because after all the years I spent with that family and Jay, it just felt like I was thrown out, forgotten, like I was nothing to them. But I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to get over it, but it's starting to get over. It's just days, and yeah. I think her birthday might have triggered some memories about it. But around that time, I was very upset with Jay for being single and, being in a relationship, and I wasn't. I still not. I try, but it just doesn't work out. And a couple weeks later, there was this other guy who I had a crush on, and I think because of Jay and his relationship with his girlfriend, kind of made me really want to be in love with someone. And you guys probably heard of him. He was in that long video I did in Brea Mall last year. It was a really long video. It was like 1 hour and 30 minutes. Excuse me. And I thought he was a really nice guy, but the problem with him is that he was the kind of guy who kind of is fake. But long story short, I found out through one of his best friends, who ended up becoming my worst enemy too, that this person didn't believe in love. He thinks that all girls break his heart, and I thought maybe I would be the one to help heal his heart, but I guess it didn't work out the way I had hoped for. And I don't know, it was after like the concert in July of 2022. It just was it 2022? Yeah, it was 2022. I met him in 2021. That's the year where my friend Jay's girlfriend started dating him, and let me see. And in 2022, the guy that I had a crush on, he unfortunately left to go to Texas in order to be with and also because one of his friends, this stupid cowgirl, who is a really big singer in Texas, she ended up like trying to get him to go over there, and it worked, unfortunately. And since then, he pretty much led me on red, and me and his best friend got into a really bad argument, and he blocked me. And then I tried to talk to his other best friend, childhood best friend, and it didn't work out either. And I tried to give her a chance too, like try to defend herself, but she didn't care either. So that's when I came out with that long video that you see on my video library that is almost a year old, actually. Yeah, it was not that fun. Um, and since that experience with that guy, it just felt really difficult to try to at least. Wait, let me check real quick. Oh man, I think my stream's not working again. Okay, hold on, guys. I think the signal there's just disconnected. Okay, we're back. Hopefully, we're back. So after that experience that I had with this guy, he was a guitarist too, for a lot of bands. I really hated him for a really long time. Oh man, yeah, this is not looking good. Yeah. Oh god, this is not good. This is not good. Okay, can you guys hear me? Hopefully you can hear me. Um so where was I? I was talking about that guy. But even though like he left to Texas, it just I really hated for what he did. He never gave me a goodbye. He never, even after everything I've done for him, go to his concerts, even tipped him in the beginning for a little bit, like maybe 2 times, that was it. And always talked to him after his show. It was like, it just felt like he didn't really, all that didn't matter to him in the end. And I was very upset with him for months and months and months, even today. But then I tried dating apps and I thought I found someone. He was really nice on the apps. Like he liked Star Wars and he really seemed like a really nice guy and he was really attractive in my opinion. But then I found out that but when he started texting me, that's when things turned to drastic measure. When he texted me and he started saying a bunch of inappropriate things, like saying that he wants to do things to me, like not violently, but like, in a very, you know, typical horny guy type of way. And I was like, yeah, this is not gonna work out. Sorry, man. You're you're rejected. It just made me feel really grossed out and also kind of made me not want to go to dating apps because of that experience. But until recently, this month, no, actually, around the summer of this year, there was a YouTuber who I had a crush on. I still follow them sometimes, and me and him kind of butt heads. I'm not gonna lie. Like this guy, he's a really artistic, very smart guy. But there were times where we just butted heads, and eventually, luckily, he hasn't blocked me. Surprisingly, even though we got into like some arguments that he gets kind of upset about because he's very like insecure. I wouldn't say he's insecure. Well, actually, yeah, he's kind of insecure about his work. Every time you criticize his work, he doesn't like that. Like he likes to display things and receive positive feedback, even though at times you're gonna receive negative feedback from someone. Heck, even people gave me negative feedback for videos, and I try not to take it in the butt. But for him, it was very serious, and I always well, so far nothing bad's happened, but I know for a fact that because it's a relationship, if we never, I mean, it's not a relationship, but it's like a kind of like a parasocial relationship, but it's like no parasocial thing, but it's not. We have never met before, and I'm trying not to take it so seriously because I know that he doesn't know that I have feelings for him or something. Maybe he does. I don't know, but I try not to take it seriously. And also he lives in another state, so well, he lives in the same country. We just live in different states, and I try not to take it too seriously with him because I know that what he says sometimes probably might not be the best. And I've talked to his one of his some of his fans about him, and they've said the same things that I've been through with him. So yeah, it's just I've been trying to keep my options open with relationships. Recently I downloaded another app, and there was these two people. I'm not gonna name the two people or identify them. And it turns out that these two people liked me, and I was like, what? How? And I honestly thought people didn't like me for whatever reason. I thought I was unlikable because I wasn't beautiful enough, I wasn't pretty, I wasn't outspoken, I wasn't loud, I wasn't an alcoholic, I wasn't a druggie or didn't smoke pot. I didn't smoke pot. But when I went on this dating app, it was these two people really liked me, and I felt like maybe I am dateable after all. But unfortunately, I just, as one of them got really too close, I started realizing that, you know what? I don't think I want to be in a relationship right now. I mean, I'm dealing with a lot of stuff right now, personally and financially. And I want to focus on my YouTube channel for a little bit and also, try to focus on, the Christmas stuff and, trying to do the lives and start a Twitch, like maybe a bit of a Twitch career, but hopefully down the line. and focus on getting my leg better because I have like arthritis. Well, I'm in the early stage of osteoarthritis, so hopefully that gets recovered because it gets really annoying once your leg starts throbbing so much and is in so much pain. And I was also trying to figure out my finances and financial um problems going forward, and it kind of dawned on me, I don't want to be in a relationship right now. I think it's going too fast. And unfortunately, I ended up breaking their hearts. One of them took it kindly, the other one not so much. And I felt really bad for this person, and I hope they're okay wherever they are. It's not, it's just that I feel like I need to love myself before I really learn how to spread my wings and really get to know a person and maybe allow them to, be my companion, my partner in crime, my soulmate, my lover, my boyfriend. And it was it was difficult because I became the thing that my enemies. I became the thing that the men I fell in love with are, and that's a heartbreaker. I became a heartbreaker, and it sucks. I don't know how the guys that I used to fall in love with dealt with that. It's terrible, honestly. Like, I hate breaking people's hearts. Well, actually, I did break some guy's heart when I was in working at the Angel Stadium back then. It was kind of bad. I felt really awful. I still feel kind of awful about it. I don't like being a heartbreaker. Being a heartbreaker, it sucks. I'm guessing the guys that broke my heart found it funny. But for me, it's like, no, it's terrible. I hate it. Which is why, I'm taking it easy right now with like dealing with my experience right now, ever since. And then, my mom and I, we went shopping on Saturday, and it hit me. It hit me that I was like, you know what? I want to have kids someday. When we went to the baby section, I was like, I want to have kids. Or at least one kid. It would be nice to have a child. Just one child. I know someday, hopefully, maybe one day, I get to have a chance to have a child, and, you know, because that's what I've always wanted. I've always wanted to have my own family. And I wasn't ready to be in a relationship when I started having two people like me that this month. I wanted to, hold off a little bit and see where it goes from there, but also focus on getting better for myself because I know if I ever become a mother, if I ever become a mother, that is, that's only if, I want what's best for my child. I want them to have a lot of love. I want them to really be a good person, not just to me and my husband, but to everyone in general. You know, I grew up in a really rough childhood, but because of my family, I got to where I am today. And I want what's best for my child, even though they don't exist yet. I just want the best for them and to be happy, and hopefully things work out in the future. But I have to fix myself. I can't be unstable. I can't be I can't be mentally ill while I have a kid. Yeah, there's a thing called postpartum, but you also want to be sure you're prepared being a parent, because having kids, it's not as easy as people think it is. Once you do something really wrong or say something, it follows them throughout the years. And I hope someday, I'm able to take care of myself and really learn how to love myself a lot more, because I think I just still need a little bit of work to go. I've managed to accomplish a lot and managed to succeed and never give up on my driving rights, and also have a YouTube channel where I could talk to you guys, and also I have over 300 subscribers currently, which is huge for me, because I honestly thought I would never make it on YouTube or never have even close to 300 subscribers. But I did, and I'm really grateful for that. And I currently have like 2 followers on Twitch, which I know it's not nothing, but to me it's something. But yeah, that's what I wanted to. That's why I wanted to do the mental health talks today, because being single, it's not that bad. Also, you hear from your friends that a lot. I do have some friends that are like divorced already, sadly, and I'm just like, thank God, I'm not married. Otherwise, I would have problems with my kids right now. But I'm really grateful to be single, and I hope someday, I could find the right person. Because I feel like this month kind of made me realize that being single isn't as bad as I had thought it was. I mean, I did this dating app, and at first, and I definitely tried to keep a close watch with perverts too. And it turned out that two people liked me. And to me, that's like, you know what? I need to learn how to love myself before I learn to love anyone else. But at least I learned that I am a very dateable person. I just need to fix myself a little bit more, try to be more optimistic, and try to be mentally prepared for any challenge. I've accomplished a lot, but I still need ways to go. And even though it's a long road ahead, I hope someday I could do it. For the next year, I really want to lose 70 pounds and, take my YouTube channel to the next level and hopefully save enough for better videos and stuff. Because, that's why I wanted to do like YouTube in the first place, to succeed and hopefully help other people. I mean, I may not be able to do it right now because I don't have a driver's license, but hopefully I can do it someday. And someday soon, because I'm already 30. I mean, I'm at the point where I should be out of my mom's house and do my own thing, and that's what I want to do. I want to be independent, I want to be happy, but most importantly, I want to be successful and do the right things, whatever I can, and try not to be a jerk about it too. But yeah, I mean, but throughout this experience, I think, even though I kind of hurt some people, broke their hearts this month, at least I know what I want to do in my life right now. I just have to deal with things going on in my personal life regarding certain problems and things. I'm trying to look for another job right now and see if I could like get enough to give my brothers and my family a well-deserved Christmas this year. And hopefully visit my dad next year too, because it's been too long, man. Like, I just don't want my dad to think that I hate him. Excuse me. But that's what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about that. Being single is not always the worst thing to happen to you. You could still, being single is it's actually kind of fun. I mean, you get to work on yourself and find new things to do, and maybe it's kind of like an adventure. I hope I'm not saying Avenger. I know I love Marvel too much, but God. Um, you know, Hopefully someday there is that special someone that will love me just like I probably would love them later. It may not be a YouTuber, it may not be a guitarist, it may not be a singer, but maybe it's someone else. And you know what? I'm willing to wait a little bit, because after what happened this month, and you know dealing with two people breaking their hearts, which I feel really awful, but at least one of them understood. um I just think that I'm not ready for a relationship right now. I just need to focus on getting better. I've accomplished a lot, but I haven't really like put some self-care in myself, which is really important. You always got to put yourself first above everything else. Although I'm not sure about family though, because family is really important too. Um, but hopefully, I could do that next year, and hopefully, life gets better if it does. I mean, it's kind of hard to be happy when everyone else is kind of miserable. But anyway, this is Dalster, and thank you guys for watching, or if you're watching this after the live has ended, thank you. Thank you for being here for the Mental Health Talks number 4, and I hope you get something out of it. If not, then that's okay. Also, if you would like to donate, I have the little things on the chat room area. If you like to donate some money, but if not, you could go in my bio, and then it should be on YouTube, or if not Twitch. But anyway, I'm gonna log off now because I have work to do tomorrow, and yeah, I got a whole week ahead of me. But thank you guys for watching another Mental Health Talks, and I'll see you guys in with another live stream in 2 weeks. But if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll probably see me pretty much almost every day. Or if you're on Twitch, sometimes I usually stream like Christmas commercials or other stuff. I'm probably gonna try to do more probably in the following days of December. But I'll see you guys later. Thank you for watching the stream, and take care of your mental health and everyone around you, and I'll try to do so myself. Thank you guys, and until next time, bye.